Okay guys, so today I'm going to make a video on one of my most controversial opinions I probably have when it comes to the idea of success. I noticed this in myself when I was younger, but as I've grown older and wiser, I realized like success cannot be equated to money. If you equate success to money, you're kind of dumb. Because think about it like this. If you think the most successful person has the most money, and I'm not going to lie, money does have a huge part to do with the success. But if you think about it, somebody say you know someone who opened 300 restaurants in their lifetime, super successful chain, all this, and it all started with this one guy. It took him 30 years, and over that time, he's made $400 million doing that. He's worth $400 million. If you equate the only factor of success to money, you're going to have to accept the fact that the guy who won the lottery for $800 million is more successful than the guy who spent 30 years building this massive corporation. You have to accept that reality. And this is what grinds my gears so much when somebody thinks like, oh, just because somebody has money, they're successful. Like, I don't see it that way. I actually see a triple pyramid. Sorry. I don't see it that way. I actually see a triple pyramid of success. Most people get stuck in the first pyramid. It's very easy to get stuck in the second pyramid. But the third pyramid is where I believe like nirvana and heaven on earth is, because it's so few people hit that top third pyramid. And I'll break it down here shortly. But first I want to talk about how I came to this conclusion. One day I was in Malibu, California, and for the past 6 years at that point, I've only really had conversations about, doing this for money, myself and from the people around me. And there was this guy there, and I asked him what he's been up to, and he just started passionately talking about how excited he is for his DJ career, because it's finally taken off and all this stuff, and he has all these plans to do these shows. And it kind of woke me from that spell, because I was thinking about it, and I was like, it's been a long time since I've heard somebody talk about something they're passionately love and believe in and are excited about, and never mention the payout. Because in general, in myself and what I've noticed in a lot of people is whenever they're talking about, say, an online business, for me, it was dropshipping at the start. I was super passionate about dropshipping when I first started dropshipping. I was so passionate, but I wasn't passionate about the dropshipping. I realized I was passionate about the money that was going to be made from the dropshipping. So that was where the passion lied, the accumulation of the wealth, not the actual thing that I was doing to accumulate that wealth. And that's the key difference right there. That's why when I think of the most successful person in the entire world, I think of Joe Rogan, because he's doing 3 things that he would do no matter what if he made money or not, because he has done those 3 things making money, without making money. So that's comedy, UFC commentary, and the podcast. Now, the difference between the average person just doing what they want and just floating through the wind and him is he actually makes hundreds of millions of dollars doing exactly what he loves, wants, and would do without making that money. And I find that remarkable. Can you imagine what that feels like every single day, doing exactly what you want and still making hundreds of millions of dollars from it? So I think that's the key characteristic, and actually the optimal top of the pyramid. Because I'm going to break down this triple pyramid idea I thought of to really showcase the climb. Because it's so, when you think there's only one pyramid, it's so easy to get stuck in that one pyramid, and or even a chamber in that one pyramid, which I'll break down here shortly. But Joe Rogan compared to Elon Musk, Joe Rogan's more successful all day, because Elon Musk is still doing stuff for money. Joe Rogan does nothing for money. He just makes a lot of money doing what he wants to do. He did the first dozens of UFC fights, got paid no money. When he was doing comedy, he got paid no money for a long time just doing stand-up. When he did his podcast, he didn't make any money for 2 years, he said. And now look at him. He's still doing that same stuff. While you got someone like Elon Musk, even though he's far wealthier than Joe Rogan, Elon Musk is still doing stuff for money, because his ultimate goal and why he still does everything he's ever done and ever will do is to get humanity over to Mars and be a multiplanetary species. That's what he says is his mission statement. So he's still in that chamber of doing stuff for money, even though he is working for himself and all that. So yeah, before I break down these pyramids, I just want to mention one more thing about the lottery winner analogy I said. It's you could say oh, Scott, well, that doesn't count because one person earned it and one person didn't. Okay. How about we take LeBron James, which I think, let's look up how much money he made last year in the NBA. Okay, so last year, LeBron James made $52 million playing in the NBA, one of the best basketball players of all time. Something he passionately believes in, has been doing since a kid. Inspiration to many. He made $52 million with his NBA contract. Okay. Sophie Rain, OnlyFans creator, made $82 million posting pictures of herself. If you think success equates to money amount, like, you have to say that Sophie Rain is more successful than LeBron, at least last year, in terms of like in that scale of things. So that's why I want to break this down. And my whole goal of this video is to hopefully just change people's perspectives here, because that perspective of, oh, money equates success, like, man, it's not what you make, it's what you do to make that money. And that's what I'm going to really dive deep into right here, because, like, if you want to do a boring business, your life is going to be boring for the majority of the day that you're working on it. And then guess what? You have a lot of money to buy some stuff. Like, get some stuff, you know? Would you rather be the guy making a lot of money who doesn't really like what he does, but he's doing it so he can get a lot of money to get some stuff? Or would you rather be the guy who passionately believes in what he does, doesn't even think about the money, because he's so passionate about the actual thing that he loves to do, and that money comes his way naturally? But that's like a shaky way to describe it. I'm going to screen record my iPad and put it up right now. So this is going to be the first pyramid. Ooh. So this is the first pyramid right here. And we are going to call this P1. That's P1. And then right here, we are going to call this level 1. This is by far where the most people are right now, like, at least in the USA and probably the world, honestly. I just like to stick to the USA because simplicity purposes. Now, below this pyramid, before I even get into this is where you can probably find, like, you know, homeless people, or like people with like $0 whatsoever, no job, no living situation ever. They're kind of just like floating down here, I would say. But level 1, maybe I would say 75% of people are here. This is job/money they don't like. So, you know, they don't like what they do and they don't like the money they make, but they have to do it because whether they got roped into a mortgage or they're trying to supply for their family. And before I continue, I want to make it very clear, there's nothing wrong with any of these layers whatsoever. I'm just trying to show you guys a different perspective on on success and the natural flow of things, because as I progress through these pyramids, you're going to see how easy it is to get stuck. And maybe some of you will see that you've gotten stuck in some of these before. I know I have. And it's very easy to, especially as you progress up the pyramid. Now, some people don't progress all the way up, you know, to the top of the pyramid before they ascend to the second one. But the higher you get up into a pyramid, the harder it is to leave. And you're about to see why. So most people are right here. Job, money they don't like. They're barely scraping by. They don't like their boss. You know, it's a story as old as the beginning of time. So let's go on to level 2. So I'm going to say in abbreviation, job they don't like, but money they like. So this is an interesting one. And this is another level that's easy to get stuck in. They don't like what they do. You know, they're not too big of a fan of it. They don't necessarily believe in it, but they like the money. This could be, you know, the couple $100,000 a year range. So this supplies them enough money to get stuff and go on vacations and start a family and all that. And a lot of people will get really trapped right here because they'll start picking up loans and start doing things because they have this job. They're not thinking about anything above here. They're only thinking about the money being made right there. Thus is called the rat race. So that's another big key issue of why I want to make this video, is because I want to show you that you have this pyramid right here, but above this pyramid, there's going to be a whole nother pyramid. And then above that pyramid, there's going to be a whole nother pyramid. And I didn't really mean to make them bigger, but we'll just go with that because maybe the pyramids can represent like the sense of fulfillment you have as you climb up this ladder. So anyway, back to pyramid 1. So pyramid 1, level 3. This is the job they don't like, but they are flourishing. Flourishing dollar bills. Like this is abundance right here. Like they could be making a couple $1 million. They could be making tons of money right here. They could be a hedge fund manager. They don't really like what they do, but what they're doing is specifically for the money. And this is the key indicator of this entire bottom pyramid, is done for money by for someone else. Oof. So that's the key indicator of this pyramid 1. Basically, you're doing things for the money for someone else. So like you're not even the key guy making the money. Like you're making someone else money and you're getting a piece of it. On top of that, you don't even like what you do. You're just doing it specifically for the money. Now above this, now I kind of drew this a little awkward. So above this, there is no like level. Like all this, level 3 is the highest level you can go right here. Making a ton of money in something you don't like to do, and you're being told by a boss or you have someone above you. This is super, super, super dangerous. That was supposed to be a nuclear symbol. Level 3 P1 is so dangerous because now you have like an image to uphold. If you're making $5 million a year at your job, and those are rare jobs, of course, but many people do it, say like, I don't know. And again, I can't speak on what other people are passionate about, but I just can't imagine somebody who is managing stocks or something right here would do that without the payoff of the money. So this is what I was saying about the key indicator of P1. Like it's done specifically for the money and being told by someone else what to do. So take that as you will, but it's so hard to leave this level at any like point in this, because as you go up this pyramid, you get more and more and more comfortable with your lifestyle, with your image, with the money coming in, and the stability. I'll tell you, there's so many times in my entrepreneurial journey where I was like, man, like I'm kind of jealous of the people who like get a salary, because it is like, it's guaranteed. It's like so less stressful, but it's not fulfilling, in my opinion, enough. So that's what will take us to P2. And yes, everything you see, I place above the previous pyramid for a reason. And this podcast is also brought to you by AutoDS. AutoDS is one of the industry leaders in all dropshipping fulfillment tools, but they take it a whole lot of steps further. Not only can you get dropshipping time down to 2 to 3 business days, you also get so many more tools. Because AutoDS is one of the biggest dropshipping softwares in the world, they've implemented a product research tool that tracks all their analytics, all their orders, and then you can use that data to find your own winning products and see where the trends are going, or even use a product that you know is selling really well right now. They have a TikTok ad spy tool built in, so you can even look deep into the TikTok ad side of things for all your product research needs. And all of it is automated. Gone are the days where you need like a VA going around and fulfilling these orders for you. AutoDS, it is completely automated. Not even just the orders, but also the tracking updates and the returns. All of that is taken care of by them. They already have a lineup of 500 million products you can choose from. It sounds like a joke, but that's an actual truth. But I think what really makes them stand out is all their worldwide suppliers that they're connected to. Because most softwares are just like AliExpress and their own suppliers, but these guys are, you know, Amazon, Walmart, eBay, Costco, Target, Overstock, Lowe's, and so many more. AutoDS is truly the all-in-one tool you need for all your dropshipping needs. So if you'd like to test it out, go to the link in the description below. You'll get a special deal through my link. Whether you're brand new at dropshipping or an experienced dropshipper, definitely check these guys out. Now back to the podcast. So P2, Pyramid 2, Level 1. Now it's working for yourself. But sad about the money. This is generally like right when you start, say, like entrepreneurship. Say you quit your job or whatever, and you're not making much money, but you are working for yourself. So this pyramid is generally characterized as working for yourself, but still for the money. That's this one. And I'll go through, obviously, how that is. So, I don't know about you guys, but I've always would say that I've wanted to work for myself, like no matter what. I really didn't like the idea of people telling me what to do. Some people do like that, and that's good for them. Like, if that's how they work better, all for it. Like, the world needs employees and bosses and everything. I just have always had something in me where I want to work for myself. So, in my own personal perspective, I am putting working for myself and not making much money over me working for someone else and making $5 million. That's it. And this is when it could be like controversial, and a lot of people could disagree with me. Like, I would rather work for myself and make less money, way less money, than work for someone else, put on the suit, put on the persona, put on the mask, put on all this stuff that I know I'd have to do in the P1, because P1, you know, you're putting on a mask. Like, that's it. That's just like a given. Everybody knows that the mask is on. I'm trying to do that like crying emoji. Everybody knows the mask is on in the P1, and that's the big thing I've never liked about Pyramid 1 is the inauthenticity, like the inauthentic relationships, interactions, where it's like you work with each other, so you have to be cordial, but you might not like each other, and you can't choose who you work with because you get assigned who you work with and all this stuff. Never really enjoyed it, never really liked it. That's why, in terms of success, I put that down below, because the idea of success is doing what you want, how you want, when you want, and making what you want. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. I want to put on level 3 down here. Level 3, Pyramid 1, that flourishing thing, it allows you to live your life in a way outside of your work in a way that you want. So it's like you can book whatever Airbnb you want. You can go to the restaurants you want. You can buy the car you want. All that is covered in level 3, but you don't like what you do. Oh, I don't know how this happened. All right. So let's go to level 2. Level 2, P2. So level 2, P2 is work for yourself, but plus happy about the money. Again, you're starting to see a pattern here. So level 2 is when you start working for yourself, and maybe this is when you're touching like, you know, 100,000 a year, 200,000 a year, and you're like, wow, I'm actually doing it. I'm like working for myself. This is amazing. Like, nobody's telling me what to do. I'm seeing this money come in. Like, this is amazing. This is like very happy. Like, Pyramid 2 is awesome. Like, it really is. Like, when you start to get that feeling of like, wow, not only am I doing it, but I did it. Like, I actually like was able to work for myself, make my own money. Nobody tells me what to do. I set my own hours. I can do what I want, go where I want, etc. However, the level 2 in P2, the caveat is you can't buy the cars you want. You can't buy the house you want. You can't stay in the Airbnbs you want. So there is some sort of compromise there that you still have to like adjust to, because you're not making the money that you want, but you're happy about it. Now, let's go up to level 3. Level 3 is this whole top part right here then. Level 3 is work for yourself. And then this is abundance. So, similar to what we saw in Pyramid 1, level 3 is when you're working for yourself, and but here's, and I want to mention this crystal clear. Level 3, you're working for yourself, but what you're doing, you wouldn't do without the payoff of the money. Right here. You still wouldn't do it. So, like, again, managing stocks or like anything, any example of something you clearly would not do unless there's that payoff, you're still in P2. And again, I know a lot of people, myself included, would be like, well, I would still, like, I remember when I was trading crypto and stocks all the time, I was like, I would still do this even if I didn't make money. I think it's fun. The hell I would. Like, there's no chance. I'm just gonna just trade numbers? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. So this is this level has a lot of justifications into it, like convincing yourself like you love what you do. And again, this is all perspective. This is not my judgment or anything of that nature. Like, I can't tell you what you love or what you don't, but I'm just saying, like, if you're working for yourself and you're doing like an online business or whatever, and you have to just say honestly, like, are you doing this for the money, or are you doing this because you passionately believe it and this is your passion and you would do this without the money? Because if you would do it without the money and you're making money, that's a pyramid 3 thing. That's not a pyramid 2. Pyramid 3 is reserved for the 0.00001% of the world who has somehow figured it out. And let's get into that right now. So yeah, that's pyramid 2. Pyramid 2 is even harder to get trapped in than pyramid 1, because with pyramid 1, at least you have some sort of pressure. Like, oh man, like you're going to your wife and you're like, I hate my boss. Like, oh, this job's like killing me. I really don't like doing this. A lot of that time, that pressure can really like spawn a seed and shoot you up into pyramid 2. Like, give you the nerve to like quit your job because you don't like it, and you realize, like, if you're spending 9 hours a day, 5 days a week, like the majority of your waking hours you're spending on something you don't like to do, but you got the money aspect to it, so you like the money. That can be very hard to get out of, but you still have that pressure. This level 3 though on pyramid 2, it's almost impossible. Once you get to level 3 on pyramid 2, it's almost impossible, like, to get out of that. Can you imagine if you have like your own successful business and you're making millions of dollars a year working for yourself, and it's like you don't hate what you do, you don't like what you do, you're just doing it because you love the money that comes from it, so you can buy a lot of stuff. That is so hard to get out of. You're there forever. Like, once you hit this, it's so rare, but some people do that. Some people do that. Joe Rogan, for example. I mean, Joe Rogan, he was making for I think for Fear Factor, they were paying him like $60,000 a week, and I think it was like $60,000, and eventually he had to like walk away because he didn't enjoy it. He goes, it was just a job. Like, people were still telling me what to do and everything. So that was actually level 1. But then level 2, you could say that's more like what happened to like Dave Chappelle, where like he had his own show. Technically, I guess he was like working for someone, but it was still his own show. And they offered him $50 million to do another season, and he just left it. Like, that is how you ascend from these level 3s. You have to have hardcore belief in yourself and have confidence like no other to turn away something you know doesn't feel right or doesn't fulfill you, knowing that you're going to make significantly less money, at least temporarily, to do it. Do you know how hard it is? Like, how many people, myself included, and watching this, would turn down $50 million for a TV show that is the most successful TV show on the planet at the moment, just because it didn't align with him anymore? You would look insane to everybody. But if you truly believe in yourself and you really want to ascend to pyramid 3, that's what it takes. So pyramid 3, let's go. Pyramid 3 is just, I call this like heaven on earth, because if you can get here, man, it's just something else, and I'll explain why. So level 1 in pyramid 3 is, I'm going to abbreviate this, doing what you love, but sad money. We can call level 1 the starving artist. So that phrase of the starving artist, it's like that's where they all are right here, level 1. Because level 1 is generally filled with people who just love what they do so much, whether that be a painter, musician, an actor, DJ. It's generally like, I think a lot of this is reserved for the arts. I'd say like 90% of it's probably like some sort of artist, because they love the art so much and they just are like that's all they can think about doing. Or like, for example, like a golfer, like you'd be hard pressed to find a professional golfer who's like, yeah, I started training to be a professional golfer because I knew there's a lot of money in it, and like I really wanted to make a lot of money, so that's why I got into golf. Like I only do this for money. Man, that's not gonna happen. That's where you find like a lot of like starting athletes, all like anybody, like you can just tell a big difference. Somebody who does it without making money, with no expectation of making money, and still does it, doing that and not making any money or barely making any money, puts them right in level 1. And unfortunately, this is where the majority of people who are doing that end up. And that's the whole like I said, starving artist thing, where they're starving but they're so happy. They love doing what they do. So let's go to level 2. Level 2 is a real interesting one. So you're doing what you love plus good money. So this could be like a musician who's just taken off and they're making like $100,000 a year, and they're just like ecstatic because they're doing the thing they've always done, and now they're making money from it. They're like, this is great. And if they lost all that money and they were no longer getting paid for the money, they would still do it. And that's the big difference between Pyramid 3 and all these other ones. Pyramid 3 is characterized by doing it for the love of doing it. That's what this is characterized by. Well, these other two, for money. And that's why it's so hard to get out of Pyramid 1 and Pyramid 2. Because when you get the money, well, like I said before, you have status to show, you have bills to pay, all that stuff. That's why level 3 is so interesting. Because if you start by doing what you love and you don't have any money to begin with, you literally have nothing to lose. You actually only have things to gain. If you start at any of the upper levels, or if you progress to any of the upper levels in these bottom 2 pyramids, it's like duct tape to skin. Like you're gonna have to. It's such a hard rip because you're walking away from millions and all this stuff, but in the hopes of getting to the level 3, which is heaven on earth. In my opinion, actually doing what you love because you love to do it. And level 3, Pyramid 3, doing what you love, abundance. Now this right here, man, not a lot of people in history have ever hit that level. Level 3, Pyramid 3. This is reserved for, say, like Paul McCartney. If Paul McCartney went bankrupt, do you think he's going to stop playing music? Tame Impala, my favorite artist. He's been making music every day, all day since he was like 12. Do you think he cares if he makes less money or not? Do you think he's going to shift his music to make less money? I don't think so. This podcast is brought to you by dropshipping.ai. That means this podcast is brought to you by myself. This is my website. This website is completely free for everybody. I don't want your money now or later. This is not some funnel. This is completely free. You get a free dropshipping store built by AI. You get free products chosen by AI, and you get a free course on how to use AI to dropship in the modern day era. AI has changed every industry. Everybody knows that, and dropshipping is not excluded. We have the most relevant, most powerful, most up-to-date information specifically tailored to dropshipping and AI fusion that we're seeing right now. And like I said before, this is completely free. I'm one of Shopify's top affiliates in the entire world. In fact, I was awarded top Shopify affiliate in North America. So they pay me to give you guys this for free. It's a beautiful cycle called the cycle of life. So if you want to support yourself and support this podcast and support me, go to dropshipping.ai, claim that store, claim those products, claim that course, and let's get back to the podcast. And I would even put someone like Steve Jobs up here, because Steve Jobs is a perfect example of a pioneer in technology that isn't in it for the money whatsoever. Sam Altman too. Like when Steve Jobs was going, like he constantly made terrible decisions financially for the company, but it was all for the best product. And that's the whole point, is like when you're in level 3 P3, you're doing what you want. You're doing it to another level. Like if you're in this level, whether that's artist, whether that's business, because I want to make it clear, I'm not trying to say like you can't be a businessman and not be in this level. I'm saying to be in level 3, pyramid 3, you're doing what you love, but this level is where the people who change the world are. This is where like humanity's biggest changes come from, is people in this level. Because when you're in this level, you're operating from a place of abundance, but pure self. And let's take back to what Joe Rogan is doing. Joe Rogan absolutely loves to do podcasts. And that's clear. He's done like 2,000 of them. He said once on one of his podcasts, he goes, I don't feel like I'm working ever. The only time I ever feel like I'm working is when I have to read the ads. Like he does like 3 ads podcasts, and he's like, and when I read those, I'm like, oh. He goes, oh, I really wish I didn't have to read these. Like that's how deeply in level 3 he is, because as you know, like he's made I think $350 million from his podcast, somewhere in that range. And that's not even including like UFC. Like the UFC, I heard he gets paid $50,000 a fight to announce. And then that's not even talking about his comedy tours where he's selling out arenas, and who knows how much money he's making off of the thousands of tickets per venue that he's doing. So when you see some hedge fund manager making $50 million, or let's say more than Joe, say a hedge fund manager who's making $360 million a year, who would you rather be? The guy on Pyramid 1, Level 3, making more money than Joe, but putting on the suit, doing all this stuff that he definitely wouldn't do if he was worth billions, but maybe he would. Again, I'm not one to judge. Like, some people are born to be CEOs. Like, some people, like, if you take the Starbucks CEO, he might actually just stay, because that's so much money, like, at a certain point, you have so much money that you don't really do it for the money. You do it for the purpose. So I understand that. So it's not for me to judge. But like level 3, pyramid 3, level 3, this is where you could place someone like XQC. And I know that's really random, but XQC is worth over $100 million. And he once said in one of his streams a while back, he said, I definitely don't stream for the money. I don't do it for the money. I do it because it gives me purpose. Like, I feel like I was born to do this. If I was doing it for the money, I would have stopped a long time ago. And that is also a major difference between Pyramid 1 and Pyramid 2 and the ultimate Pyramid 3. These people would stop what they're doing if they got $1 billion. I always like to think about that question. I'm like, would I do what I'm doing if I had $1 billion or not? Definitely, these people, if they got $1 billion, 99% of them would stop what they're doing. They'd quit their job. They would quit their business. They got $1 billion. Then that's where the hole becomes, because when you just have a lot of money, but you don't necessarily enjoy what you're doing, you just enjoy the money that you're making, that is where the drugs and alcohol start to form. People get addicted to pills, cocaine, like all this stupid shit, drinking all the time, because all they're doing is making money. Like, they're not actually doing the thing that they love to do. They might not even know what they love to do. They might only love money, and that's going to cause a huge hole in their soul. And you can't escape level 2 or pyramid 2 or pyramid 1 until you figure out what you actually love to do. Because when you figure out what you love to do, you're going to understand there's a key There's a huge fucking difference between waking up and doing what you love to do and making money from it, even if it's a little money, versus waking up, working for yourself, not really loving what you're doing, but loving the money that comes from it. That is such a big difference. These people in Pyramid 1 and Pyramid 2, you'll see this a lot, their entire personality and motivation is only money driven. It's only money driven. So there's a huge hole. And then if they lose that money, that's when it gets really dangerous for them. Now, Pyramid 3 people, these people could lose all their money, but it's not gonna impact them as much as level 2 or level 1s, because they're, at the end of the day, they're still doing what they love. Like, their happiness, their fulfillment's coming from something that they actually love to do, not the money that they love that they get by doing something, whatever it needs to be done. So I always think about that Kendrick Lamar song. He goes, take off the, is it DNA or something? It's about taking off everything. He's like, take off the Dolce, take off the that one, because he's talking about like take off the the new perspective that if I'm rich, I'm rare. It's like level 1 and level 2 is so common. If you want to be rare, you got to be in the 0.002% at Pyramid 3, doing what you love without the money and making a lot of money from it. That's Pyramid 3 level 3 is probably like 0.00000000003% of people in history. Maybe not currently, but people in history, because it requires an honest conversation. Like what you're doing right now. Would you do it if you had $1 billion tomorrow? Ask yourself that question. If it's no, you're in level 2 or level 1. If it's yes, congratulations, you're in Pyramid 3. Pyramid 2 and Pyramid 1. If it's yes, congratulations, you're in Pyramid 3. And that's the difference. If you're already in Pyramid 3 and you make $1 billion, you're going to stay in Pyramid 3. Unless you drastically divert your perspective and you start doing things for money all of a sudden because you have money. Like I asked this guy once, because I love asking this question to people. I'm like, what would you do if you had $1 billion? And he thought for a second and he was like, I try to turn it into 10 billion. It's like, maybe I'm just very different from people, but I don't see the fulfillment at all of just like making money, using that money to turn into more money. Like there's no creation or contribution. It's like you got to be contributing something to feel fulfilled. It's kind of like going back to the beginning when this whole thing started about saying like, success is gauged by how rich you are. That's literally like saying life's purpose is to be happy. Well, if life's purpose is to be happy, then people who do heroin win because they're the happiest based on the serotonin levels measured and dopamine levels measured, because that's the only thing you can measure happiness with. Now, I think like the meaning of life is fulfillment. And the way that you achieve fulfillment can be through your own personal perspective on things and your own personal things, but it's about being honest. Like the devil can trick you. Evil can really trick you into like not creating anything by getting fast money and all this stuff, or like keeping you in a place. Like purgatory is a real place on earth, and that's what happens when you're on the chessboard and you are too nervous to make that move because you might get checkmated. You have to make that move. You have to make that move, because if you never do, you get stuck and you go stagnant, and that's purgatory. That's real life purgatory. If you get stuck and go stagnant, you can never go up or down. You get stuck right there. There's no up or down. It's just a flat line. Like you see, like when somebody dies, it's a flat line. At least if you go down by taking risks and stuff, at least there's some movement. At least there's some energy. But in my perspective, the perspective of life and success and everything is getting right as high up on Pyramid 3. And I'll tell you, like I said before, it is so easy to get stuck on Pyramid 2, because when it becomes all about the money and you start making a lot of money, it gets very hard to walk away from the money. And then you start convincing yourself like, I'm going to do what I hate the majority of every day as long as I make enough money. Again, maybe I'm different, but I would far rather be in level 3 and with people in level 3 than the people who are serving money like a god in level 2. Because like level 3 also, I believe, has like all the comedians. Like no one gets into comedy and is like, I'm getting into comedy. I'm gonna get into comedy because I really want to be rich. I hear they make a lot of money. Like even with that perspective, and that's what's so interesting about level 3. That's what's really interesting about pyramid 3 is it's the only pyramid where if you go into it with the idea of wanting to get rich, you'll actually stay at level 1, because if you're going into doing what you love, it's the perspective of doing it to make money is like it doesn't allow you to focus on what you actually love. It makes you focus on doing that thing you love, but then bastardizing it and prostituting it in a way where you're going to use it to make money, but the best art and the best results from that don't come from that. Like, can you imagine if Joe Rogan sold out on his podcast from the very beginning? He would not make it anywhere. Like, imagine if he or example, like when the Spotify thing came around. Oh, this is such a good example. When the Spotify deal came around, he got heavily pressured to start censoring like future episodes and not talk about certain misinformation and all this stuff. If he would have said yes and taken and if he would have just like allowed Spotify to say that, or like taken like a deal from someone else based on the money, his podcast would have failed. Like, yeah, he would have made the money, but his podcast would have failed. And now he's not technically doing what he loves, how he wants to do it. Because that's also a key point I want to point out about Pyramid 3 is like doing what you love, how you want to. So when you start to do things for money like that, that's when people just fall off. Like they quote unquote sell out. But if you focus on what you love to do, you're passionate about what you love to do, and you just and you love it so much that you just focus on getting better and better and better and better at it, that money will eventually come, because tying it into the energy of excellence concept, money is naturally attracted towards excellence. That's why you see at the top of level 3, pyramid 3, that's where the best artists are. That's where the best, all artists, best comedy, best musicians, best painters, everyone, they're at that, because the better you do something, the more excellent you do something, the more money is attracted to it. So it's actually, instead of chasing the money, you're actually magnetizing. It's like a magnetic attraction that the money shoots towards when you start doing something so excellently. And that is how you get to the top of not only the pyramid, but life in general, because that is heaven on earth. Like, you got to think about, what is it that you've always loved to do? Maybe you've forgotten, but it's somewhere in there. Imagine if you did that for a living, and people say, oh, that's impractical, Maybe it is, but it's worth trying. At least it's worth going for it, because at the end of the day, like, do you really want to just die with a bunch of money and full of regrets? And again, that's why I've always been like apprehensive to when people are like, yeah, I just like, I'm just getting into like boring businesses because that's where the money's at. It's like, okay, well, you're going to live a boring life then, and you're going to have a lot of stuff. Like, and again, when you don't like what you do and you're doing it just for the money, I'll take it back to what I said down here. That is when the drugs and alcohol come to flourish, because there's going to be a massive hole within you that is just craving fulfillment that you're not finding in what you actually do. You're just getting handed a ton of money, and this is exactly why people who inherit a lot of money, or people who win the lottery, end up going broke and becoming drug addicts and getting into like meth and stuff, is because there's no fulfillment there. Like, they don't really have anything that they truly believe in, and it's kind of like a trick. Like, money is being used to trick everybody from doing what they actually want to do in this life. Like, you have one life, and if you're choosing not to do what you love because of money, you're probably going to die with a lot of regrets. How many people in Pyramid 1 do you think die with regrets? How many people in Pyramid 2, even the people who own their own businesses and are flourishing, have a ton of money, I bet some of them still have regrets for not doing what they actually wanted to do. Now, I'm not saying these people who are making millions of dollars with their own business are going to be full of regrets when they... No, it's like the regrets start to get less and less as you go up the ladder. But at the top of the ladder, there's zero regrets. I can promise you that. People doing what they love and making millions from it, the zero people who have done that, I bet, have died with regrets. At least resulting relative to wishing they would have like did things with their passion or their pursuit of life. So guys, that is what I wanted to cover today. And I just think it needs to be said. It's like, I think it's a fairly fresh concept to put out there, this triple pyramid of success thing, because I think a lot of people, especially in the online business space, just view it as money. Like, work for myself, get money. That's the top of the pyramid. That's the ultimate life goal, right? Work for myself and get money. Well, it's not about what you make, it's about what you do. And I'll say it like this. I think like TikTok and social media in general has really made people way less attractive to what they do, more so about the stuff and the money, because, you know, with the algorithm, it just shows you like flashy car or like all this stuff. And then like you look at what the guy does, and what the guy does becomes less and less important. What becomes more and more important is what the stuff he has and the money he makes. I'll end it with this. Like Jerry Seinfeld, you guys can look this up if you want. But he recently was in in an interview, and he goes, "When did it become about the money? You know, back in my day, it was never about the money. It was, if you had a job that was cooler than my job, you won." And to answer Jerry Seinfeld's question about when did it become only about the money, it had to have been sometime when social media became a thing, because it makes a lot more sense. Like, there's nothing that makes me happier or enjoy talking about more than somebody who clearly, passionately believes in what they do. What even makes me even happier is someone who clearly is passionate about what they do with no monetary involvement whatsoever in terms of expected monetary outcome. Because, like I said, speaking from experience, it can be easily confused that what you're passionate about is actually the money that you're going to make from it, not the thing that you're doing for itself. So that passion that you can use to make a lot of money, that you push towards the thing you're doing that will make you a lot of money, a lot of times is actually the passion for the money. There's a clear difference when you talk to someone like that and when you talk to somebody who's like super passionate about DJing or super passionate about soccer, or super passionate about basketball, or super passionate about a product. Like, look at Sam Altman. Sam Altman recently said, he was like, I don't care if we burn 5 million, 50 million, 5 billion, or 50 billion. He's going to do exactly what he wants to do the way he does it, because he is so passionate about OpenAI and how it's going to change the world. That's what I love. Not about making the most profit or anything. Every single time a person or a company starts to put profit over their passion, that's when things turn sour and they ultimately fail. Like, look at what happens to Apple. Like, yeah, they started focusing more on the profit after Steve died, but like their innovation sucks. Like, same iPhone every single year. The coolest thing they've come out with is the AirPods in like the past decade since he's died, and they put out the Apple like Vision. Didn't really do much. They haven't done much in AI because they're playing it safe. They're trying to please the investors. So you got to think of your whole life as like your ego is the investor, and if you keep feeding the ego, as most companies, the investors ruin stuff, and you might just end up with a bunch of money at the end of the day. But I personally gravitate more towards life's purpose of being what you create, what you contribute, because those are the people who actually change the world. The major thing that I noticed that brought me to all these conclusions is like, when I think about it truly, like the people I look up to the most in my life who like inspire me, who have inspired the world, who have changed the world, almost none of them have really talked about money much. Like think about like who you truly look up to, not for the money they have but like I wouldn't say look up to, because you can definitely look up to people who are helping you make money, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But the people who have changed the world, like have an honest conversation and think about like, do these people ever talk about money? Like I thought about this the other day. I was like, Joe Rogan's podcast would be vastly unpopular compared to how popular it is if like he didn't like podcasts about how to make money. Like imagine if he had like Elon Musk on and he was like, so tell me about like how you grow a company so quickly and all that stuff. No, he talks to people who are passionate about what they do, and they share that passion with them. That is where the money is made, the real money and the real change on top of that. So kind of rambling now, but I just want to put that out into the world, and I want to get your guys' perspective on this, because I definitely understand a lot of people probably going to disagree with me hardcore on this, but I'm extremely confident level 3 pyramid 3 is the purpose of life. And unfortunately, the safe route is taught from a very young age, indoctrination. But there's no adventure in that. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.